Hi, this is Ray Evans with the Pegasus team at Infinitas Wealth Council. As you know, we occasionally pivot a little bit from financial matters and highlight and spotlight some entities in the Midwest and in the Kansas City area that are very cool success stories. We've talked about Hallmark, we've talked about Garmin, we've talked about Higher Impact, and today we're going to talk about Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas and the tremendous work and impact that they have throughout the area. I'm lucky enough to have Amelia Reyes and Curtis Grodoff from Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas to be here with us. We're going to talk a little bit about the work they do, which is pretty tremendous. Curtis, I'll kind of start with you. Catholic Charities has such a broad reach across the community, from fighting food and housing insecurity to helping with job placements and digital literacy and financial education. 25 or so programs available, might be even a little bit more than that, but if you could touch a little bit on describing perhaps the heart of the mission of Catholic Charities here in Kansas.
Sure, Ray. Well, thank you for having us. It's a delight to share our mission and what we do and the impact we have on the Kansas City metro area. So, yeah, really the heart of our mission is to help anyone in need with help, hope, and hospitality, meeting them where they are, regardless of their faith, and provide them with spiritual, mental, and physical help when they're most in need. And I think those 25 plus programs are great, but it's really that dignity through which we provide that programming that really makes the difference for those that we serve.
It's interesting a little bit, if you could expand somewhat on some of the areas, talk about perhaps refugee growth and some of the things that we have spent more time on in the last several years that have really accelerated and there's a tremendous demand for.
Over the last, I'd say 8 to 10 years, we've really expanded upon what we have to offer. So all of our family support centers do a lot of work on crisis intervention. So if your family's unable to put food on the table, can't pay your rent or utilities, is in some sort of crisis situation, they're kind of our hubs where we have case managers on site who are able to meet people where they're at, kind of ask them what's going on, and hopefully intervene with that direct crisis. But then the other programming that we have is that we've really expanded upon in the last 8 years and have focused on is our long-term programming, which is really more strengths-based. So once somebody's crisis intervention is met, then figuring out, okay, what other skills can we help you build? What other needs do you have that are really going to look at root causes? That way we can not only meet people within that crisis, but then also as they're coming out of the crisis, what else can we do so you don't fall back into that crisis space? And one of those programs that we've been super involved in is our refugee programming. Within the last 5 to 6 years, that programming expanded greatly with the crisis in Ukraine and then also Afghanistan. We had a lot of refugees coming and being resettled, but then after they're coming to this country, having support long-term on learning about how the financial system works, learning about how to get work, and then how to have a career pathway that long-term is going to be impactful for your family.
And then we might pivot a little bit and talk about the Snowball Gala, which is in January of 2026. My wife Sarah and I and good friends Kevin and Debbie Wilkerson are able to be co-presidents of that this year. If you can maybe touch briefly on how impactful that is.
Absolutely, yeah. Snowball, as you said, is celebrating its 52nd year. And it started at humble beginnings, right? It started in a church basement. A group of concerned Catholic Charity supporters got together, decided they would throw a meal for their friends, and then asked their friends to donate. And it has snowballed, pardon the pun, into what it is today. 2,000 people gathering, Catholic and non-Catholic, into a room and celebrating the generosity that they're having and the impact they're having on the community. And what does it mean for Catholic Charities? Well, we raised last year over $5 million. We hope to raise more than that this year, but it allows us to continue doing what we do, but also respond
Spread that message.
Yes,
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Amelia and Curtis, thank you very much. If you would like a copy of the most recent Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas annual report, ray.evans@pegasuskc.com. I'll get that in your hands. Thank you for taking the time today, and we'll be back in touch soon.